When was the last time you truly respected yourself? Not just pretended to, not just told yourself you did, but actually felt it in your bones. Most people don't. They confuse being nice with being weak, being humble with being invisible. They shrink to fit in, apologize for existing, and call it peace. But deep down, they're breaking. You can feel it, can't you? That quiet ache when you say yes but mean no. That exhaustion that comes from carrying everyone's expectations but your own. You've been trying so hard to earn respect from people who can't even see themselves clearly. And the truth is, they never will, until you do. You've been waiting for someone to recognize your worth, waiting for someone to finally treat you right. But here's the truth no one likes to admit. People don't respect you because they see your potential. They respect you because you demand it. Respect isn't given to those who hope for it. It's given to those who claim it. And claiming it doesn't start with them. It starts with you. Every time you let someone cross a line, you teach them that line doesn't exist. Every time you stay silent when your soul is screaming, you tell the world your voice doesn't matter. Every it's fine when it's not. Every forced smile, every swallowed truth. It's another brick in the wall you build around your own power. You think keeping the peace makes you kind, but it only makes you invisible. You think being understanding makes you strong, but it only drains you until there's nothing left to understand. And then you wonder why people overlook you, why they take without giving, why they never see your worth. It's because you've hidden it from them. You've hidden it from yourself. Respect is energy, and the energy you give yourself becomes the standard for everyone else. When you treat yourself like an afterthought, the world takes notes. When you act like you don't matter, they believe you. But imagine for a moment, what would change if you decided that you do matter? If you stopped trying to prove your worth and simply embodied it? If you looked at your reflection and refused to negotiate your value one more time? The moment you stop seeking approval, you become magnetic. The moment you stop explaining yourself, you become powerful. The moment you stop chasing, you start attracting. Because self-respect shifts everything. It's not arrogance, it's alignment. It's the quiet understanding that you don't need to lower your standards for anyone who can't meet them. And yes, people might call you difficult. They'll say you've changed. But that's because they can no longer benefit from your silence. They'll resist it at first. They always do. Because the moment you start respecting yourself, you expose everyone who never really did. That's the cost of growth. That's the price of peace. You will lose people who only loved your compliance, but you'll find yourself. And that's a trade worth making every single time. Respect isn't loud. It doesn't beg. It doesn't chase. It doesn't explain. It just is. It's in the way you carry yourself. In the way you say no without guilt. In the way you walk away without looking back. It's in your energy, your presence, your silence. Real self-respect doesn't need to prove anything. It simply refuses to settle for less. And when you embody that, everything around you shifts. People start treating you differently. Opportunities start finding you. Because the world mirrors your inner standard. Always. So stop waiting for someone else to see what you refuse to acknowledge. Stop begging for respect in rooms you've already outgrown. The power you're chasing is already yours. It's just been buried under years of doubt and compromise. But you can take it back. Right here. Right now. Start by honoring your own boundaries. By choosing yourself even when it's uncomfortable. By remembering that self-respect isn't selfish, it's sacred. And once you understand that, once you truly feel that in your soul, everything changes. Because when you finally respect yourself, the world has no choice but to follow. Respecting yourself is not a decision you make once. It's a war you fight daily. Every morning you wake up, the world tries to convince you to forget who you are. It whispers that you're not enough, that you should settle, that you should be grateful for crumbs. And the moment you believe it, you start giving your power away. You let fear dictate your choices. You let people drain your peace. You let your dreams decay in silence. But deep inside, something in you knows better. Something in you is tired of living small, tired of pretending, tired of breaking your own heart just to make everyone else comfortable. You've tried fitting in, but it only made you disappear. You've tried pleasing everyone, but it only left you empty. You've spent years waiting for permission to become who you already are. But no one is coming to save you. No one is coming to hand you the respect you've been begging for. It's not theirs to give, it's yours to claim. The life you want begins the moment you stop asking and start declaring. The moment you stop apologizing for wanting more. Because there's nothing noble about playing small. There's nothing holy about abandoning yourself to be liked. You can't inspire anyone by shrinking. You can only inspire by rising. You need to understand this. The world mirrors what you believe you deserve. If you accept disrespect, it will multiply. If you tolerate neglect, it will spread. But if you carry yourself like someone who knows their worth, everything shifts. Energy recognizes energy. Confidence commands attention without saying a word. Boundaries are the language of self-respect, and once you start speaking it, people listen. Not because they suddenly value you more, but because you finally value yourself enough to set the standard. And once you set it, you never go back. This is not about being better than anyone. It's about being true to yourself. It's about walking away from situations that poison your spirit. It's about realizing that peace is worth more than approval. You don't need validation to be valuable. You don't need to prove your worth to those who can't see it. The moment you stop explaining yourself to people who are committed to misunderstanding you, you become untouchable. That's the kind of power that can't be faked. The kind of power that doesn't need to shout, it just radiates. And yes, it's uncomfortable at first. Standing up for yourself feels lonely when you've been conditioned to please. Saying no feels selfish when you've built your identity around yes. But discomfort is not a sign you're wrong. It's a sign you're growing. Every time you choose yourself, you break an old pattern. Every time you walk away from something that drains you, you make space for something that builds you. This is how self-respect turns into freedom. It's not about control, it's about choice. The choice to no longer betray yourself for the sake of belonging. You have to decide that your peace is non-negotiable, that your time is sacred, that your energy is precious. Because when you start living like that, life starts aligning with you, opportunities feel different. Conversations change. The people who were never meant for you start to fade, and the ones who respect your boundaries begin to appear. You stop chasing, and you start attracting. Not because you became luckier, but because you became clearer. You finally stop treating yourself like an afterthought. There's a version of you waiting on the other side of fear, a version that doesn't settle, doesn't explain, doesn't seek permission, a version that moves through the world knowing exactly who they are. That version is not out of reach. It's not someday. It's right now. Every moment you choose to respect yourself, you become that version. Every time you walk with your head held high after saying no, you become unstoppable. So don't wait another second. Don't wait for them to see your worth. Don't wait for the world to give you what you've already earned. Stand up, draw the line. Protect your energy like it's gold, because it is. And once you understand that, once you start living like your worth is non-negotiable, you stop surviving and start leading. You stop existing and start becoming. And that's when the world finally sees you. Not because you demanded their respect, but because you embodied it. The moment you decide to respect yourself, everything begins to shift. People start revealing their true colors. Some pull away, others get uncomfortable. Not because you've changed too much, but because they can no longer control the version of you that needed their approval. You become unpredictable. You stop bending to keep the peace. You stop explaining your worth, and that threatens those who once thrived on your silence. But that's exactly how you know you're growing. When peace starts feeling more important than pleasing. When solitude feels lighter than company that drains you. When your silence speaks louder than your begging ever did. You have to understand, your power was never gone. It was only buried under years of conditioning. Every time someone told you to be smaller, quieter, easier to love, you buried a piece of yourself just to survive. But survival isn't living. You weren't born to live on your knees. You were born to stand tall, even if your voice shakes, to say no, even if it disappoints, to walk away, even if your heart aches. That's what self-respect demands, courage. The kind of courage that terrifies people who haven't found theirs yet. But you don't owe them comfort. You owe yourself freedom. And freedom begins when you stop waiting for closure, for apologies, for validation. You stop trying to convince anyone to understand you. You stop hoping they'll see your heart and treat it right. You realize that their inability to respect you is not a reflection of your worth. It's a reflection of their limits. And you stop shrinking to fit within them. You rise. You rise above their opinions, their doubts, their noise, because your peace isn't something they can give you. It's something you claim in silence. Every time you choose yourself, you teach your soul that it matters. Every time you walk away from chaos, you build a new foundation of calm. And it doesn't happen overnight. Some days it will hurt. You'll question if you're doing the right thing. You'll miss the familiarity of old patterns, the comfort of people who once made you feel needed. But don't confuse familiarity with value. Some things only feel right because you've been broken into their shape for too long. Healing feels foreign at first, but it's the only path back to yourself. You have to be willing to outgrow everything that no longer aligns with your peace, even if that means outgrowing parts of yourself. The version of you that tolerated disrespect can't walk with the version that demands more. The version that begged for attention can't survive where confidence lives. You'll have to shed. You'll have to let go. You'll have to rebuild from the ground up. But what you'll gain, clarity, strength, dignity, is worth every piece you lose, because self-respect is not about perfection. It's about truth, living in a way that honors your worth even when it's uncomfortable. There comes a point where you realize that the life you want isn't waiting. It's watching. Watching to see if you'll finally stop settling. Watching to see if you'll step into the role only you can play. The world doesn't move for those who wait to be chosen. It moves for those who choose themselves. And when you do, you stop attracting chaos. You stop living in reaction. You start leading your life, not chasing it. That's when things begin to align, not because everything gets easier, but because you stop betraying yourself for temporary comfort. You don't have to be loud to be powerful. You just have to be sure. Sure of what you deserve. Sure of what you'll no longer accept. Sure that your peace is more valuable than their approval. Because once you reach that point, there's no going back. You start walking differently, talking differently. You stop explaining your boundaries. You just live them. You stop hoping they'll treat you better. You start treating yourself better, and the world follows suit. That's the truth most people never learn. Respect isn't something you wait for. It's something you become. So this is your reminder. You are not too much. You are not asking for too much. You're just finally asking from the right place. The place where your worth doesn't need to be proven. It just exists. The place where love, opportunity, and peace flow naturally because you stop chasing what was never meant for you. You've already spent enough time doubting yourself. Now it's time to rise, to take your place, to live as though you finally understand what you've always been worth. Because once you do, the world has no choice but to understand it too. You've spent so long trying to be enough for everyone else that you forgot what it feels like to be enough for yourself. You've given pieces of your soul away, one compromise at a time, hoping someone would finally see your worth and handle it with care. But they never did they? Because no one can protect a value you don't defend. Respect begins where self-abandonment ends. The moment you stop shrinking to fit into the spaces that insult your spirit, you begin to rise. The moment you stop apologizing for existing, you begin to see that your presence is not a burden. It's a gift. There's a part of you that's been silent for too long. The part that knows you were meant for more than survival. The part that aches every time you betray your own truth. You can feel it. The tension between who you are and who you pretend to be. It's the reason peace feels foreign. It's the reason your soul feels heavy. Because pretending comes with a cost, and that cost is you, but you can't afford to keep paying it. You've already spent too many years playing small for people who are never going to see your light, no matter how much you dimmed it. It's time to reclaim your space, to stand in the mirror and recognize that every scar, every disappointment, every mistake has shaped the person you're becoming. Are not broken. You're building. Every boundary you set, every time you say no, every time you choose peace over chaos, you're building a foundation of power. Respect isn't built on what others think of you. It's built on what you decide to accept. And when you decide that your worth is not negotiable, everything around you starts to align with that decision. People may resist your growth because your transformation exposes their stagnation. They'll call you cold for protecting your peace. They'll call you selfish for putting yourself first. But don't let that shake you. The truth is you're not changing. You're returning to the self you buried to be loved, returning to the self that knew her worth long before the world told her to doubt it. This return is sacred. It's not about becoming someone new. It's about remembering who you were before you learned to doubt yourself. And yes, it will hurt. Growth always does. It will feel like loss, but what you're losing are only the things that were never real. Approval that was conditional, love that was one-sided, relationships that fed on your silence. Let them go. The version of you that's emerging needs space to breathe. She doesn't need validation, she needs vision. She doesn't need permission, she needs purpose. And purpose begins when you stop waiting to be chosen and start choosing yourself. You have to understand the world doesn't respect hesitation. It respects certainty. The universe bends for those who know who they are. The more you doubt yourself, the more life mirrors that doubt. But when you move with conviction, doors open, paths clear, and people start treating you the way you've always deserved. Not because they've changed, but because your energy did. You've stopped asking for respect, you've become it. Every day you are teaching the world how to treat you. Through your boundaries, through your energy, through what you tolerate. You don't need to yell or prove a point. Your consistency will speak louder than any explanation ever could. So stand tall, be still, be sure. You don't have to chase validation when you walk in alignment with your worth. The life you want isn't waiting for the right moment. It's waiting for the real you to show up. The one who knows she's done settling. The one who's tired of half love, half effort, half respect. The one who's ready to live fully, unapologetically, completely. Because once you decide that self-respect is non-negotiable, everything else falls into place. The world stops being something you beg for and becomes something you command. Not through force, but through presence. And that's the truth most people never realize. You don't earn respect by proving your worth to others. You earn it by proving your commitment to yourself. The day you stop betraying yourself to be accepted is the day everything begins to shift. That's when power returns to your hands. That's when peace becomes your default. That's when life stops testing your value and starts reflecting it. Because the moment you respect yourself, the world has no choice but to follow. The moment you start living with self-respect, the world doesn't just notice. You begin to see it reshape around you. People who once ignored your boundaries start to pull back, not because they've suddenly changed, but because your energy no longer entertains what drains it. You stop explaining yourself to those committed to misunderstanding you. You stop fighting to be seen in rooms that were never built to hold your light. Respect shifts your frequency, and at that level, you can't go back. You can't unsee your own power once you've recognized it. You can't return to the person who begged for crumbs when you've tasted wholeness. And that realization, it changes everything. You begin to understand that peace isn't passive. It's power under control. It's knowing you could fight but choosing not to. It's walking away when everything in you wants to prove a point, but you choose dignity instead. That's strength. That's real confidence. Not the loud kind that shouts to be heard, but the quiet kind that doesn't need to. Respect teaches you that silence is not weakness, it's command. That calm is not surrender, it's certainty. And once you feel that, you start to realize that life bends for those who no longer chase validation. Because validation is an illusion. It keeps you trapped in the cycle of trying to be enough for others instead of realizing you already are. This is where transformation becomes dangerous, because you're no longer easily manipulated. You're no longer desperate for attention, affection, or approval. The things that used to control you, fear, guilt, doubt, lose their grip. You start acting from clarity, not confusion. You make choices that align with your peace instead of your pain. That's when your life begins to accelerate. Because when your energy shifts, your entire reality follows. People can sense it, they feel it in the way you speak, the way you move, the way you no longer tolerate what used to destroy you. But here's what most people won't tell you. Respecting yourself means walking alone sometimes. It means saying goodbye to comfort, to old identities, to people who only knew the version of you that dimmed their shine. It's not easy. There will be nights where you question if it's worth it. There will be moments when loneliness feels louder than your strength. But that's not the end. It's the breaking point that leads to freedom. The loneliness you feel is not a punishment, it's space being cleared for alignment. It's the silence before everything starts to make sense. And when it does, you'll see that nothing was lost. Every ending was preparation. Every rejection was redirection. Every person who disrespected you was teaching you what self-respect really means. You needed those lessons to become unshakable. To learn that self-respect isn't built in comfort. It's forged in the fire of being underestimated, overlooked, and undervalued. Every time you were ignored, you were being guided back to yourself. Every time you were mistreated, life was asking, will you choose you this time? And when you finally do, the answer echoes through everything you touch. You start carrying yourself differently. Your energy speaks before you do. People can feel your standards without you having to announce them. You no longer need to chase what's meant for you, because what's meant for you can finally find you. Respect becomes your gravity. It pulls everything aligned with your worth closer, and everything beneath it fades away. That's not ego. That's equilibrium. That's balance restored. And this is the truth. You don't find respect by demanding it from others. You find it by deciding that you will never again betray yourself to earn it. You become the example of the respect you expect. You live it, breathe it, walk it, and the world adjusts accordingly. Because the universe has a simple rule: it will always meet you at the level of your self-worth. So ask yourself, how much longer will you wait to rise? How many more days will you spend hoping they'll see what's already inside you? You've waited long enough. The version of you that respects herself fully is not a fantasy. It's a decision. It's the moment you stop settling for less than your truth. The moment you stop apologizing for your power. The moment you realize that every step you take in self-respect is a declaration: I am enough. I always was. Once you live from that truth, life has no choice but to treat you accordingly.